Okay. We are live. Episode 7, Matthias. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. I'm going down the list of friends and having these podcasts.
You know, I'm glad I'm not the last.
Yeah, we all know who's gonna be the last. Talking to you, Bobek. But this is kind of an interesting episode because having you here, I feel like you and me are kind of like the most similar to each other in our group of friends.
I would agree.
Even our physical looks, like we both have curly hair. We're both like from Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
And this other thing, this other behavior, like something that I noticed about you is that, you're pretty reserved. Like you don't really, I don't know, like you don't really express yourself too much in the friend group, but you make yourself known. And a lot of people in our group of friends love you for that. Like, yeah. It's something like I didn't really, I haven't known you as much as everybody else has, but like from my experience with you, like I just got like, oh, like Matthias is this really charming guy, you know? What a cool guy.
That was sweet. I feel a very similar way about you, Jimmy. I think it's funny that I've met you so much later than most of the people in the friend group, but I feel like you and I feel like I've known you like my whole life. I feel like we have a very similar sense of humor.
Yeah. I mean, I laugh at your stuff a lot.
I love when you laugh at my stuff. It makes me feel good.
And something else. This is just not to rub each other off so much, but like, like I remember we were. This was after your operation, which I'd like to touch on later if that's okay.
Yeah.
It was a very weird set of circumstances. You had a very serious, or at least to me, very serious operation, and to everybody in our group of friends, this was like something very important. Something very, like, oh, like give some love to Matthias during this scary moment. And but like, I wasn't really connected, and on the day that you were able to come home, you invited everybody, and including me, and it was like, to me, I was like really I don't know, it's kind of like I felt like I shouldn't be here. Like this was your moment to be with your friends, but I was like very humble.
I see.
Yeah, like for you accepting me not to your house and us watching H3H3.
Oh, please! It was wonderful having you there. I remember that you made a drawing of me.
Oh yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
That's funny. But before this podcast, I've been thinking, I come up with these questions for everybody, and like you've had back to this operation that you had. This was like this was huge.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was scary.
But like, sure. I would like you to go into it, but also like into how you like think about life now and what you thought of life before. You understand? Like we,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Take the reins.
All right. So the reason I got open heart surgery was because I was born with a heart murmur. It's a small hole between my ventricles and my heart, which are the bottom two chambers. And on one side of that wall, there's supposed to be oxygenated blood, and the other side has non-oxygenated blood. So the hole between those chambers kind of let blood flow between the two chambers where it wasn't supposed to be oxygenated and where it was. So basically, it wasn't a big deal for most of my life. It just made my heartbeat a little louder than usual, and it made me kind of get tired faster than like the other kids. For example, I had a hard time running a mile in PE and things like that just because my
Whoa.
heart would like beat really fast and I could hear it in my head because it was so loud. And but other than that, it wasn't really much of a problem. And in fact, heart murmurs are not they're not super rare. Like
Right.
obviously not everybody has them, but there's a lot of people with heart murmurs, and there's a lot of people that live their entire lives with small holes in their hearts that don't cause any issues. And in my case, it wasn't looking like it was going to cause any issues, so I was not I didn't receive an operation when I was a baby, which is usually the case if it's recognized as a problem.
Right.
But by the time I was 15, because I had a hole in my heart, I would go to the cardiologist every year or so and like get an echosonogram, and they would look at my heart and see that everything was right.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I was 15, they realized that the blood flow going through that hole was causing tissue to build up on the inside of my heart, and it was tightening everything in there. So the artery that would take blood out of my heart and through the rest of my body was closing almost by 50% on my heartbeat, which is not a good sign at all. It's just definitely not good. I could have had like by the time they realized that this was happening, it was almost at 50%, and 50% of its diameter being closed is like already like emergency situation. We have to open you up right now. So when they found out that it was causing this problem, it wasn't quite at 50%, so I still had some time, but they told me that I would have to get open heart surgery at some point the year after I was diagnosed, so to speak, or they told me that I had this problem.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a year went by, and it came to the day where they were going to open me up and they were going to fix my heart, and it was definitely scary. But not only was my surgeon like one of the best surgeons, cardio surgeons in like the world, he was like this crazy ass man who I met him once before the surgery to like I shake his hand, like know who was going to cut me open.
Right.
And he was like one of these. He kind of gave me vibes of he had some like sort of mild autism that made him just like an incredible prodigy at doing surgery, but he was kind of socially weird. That's kind of the vibe I got from him. I don't know if he was autistic or not, but that's the vibe.
I think if you're in that profession,
you have to have some going on.
Like
in there.
you have to deal with some bad stuff. Like even you, like, oh man, like this is a nice kid. I'm shaking the kid. Like I'm literally gonna. I'm holding. When you were shaking hands, he's like, "I'm holding your life."
Yeah. Right? My life was in his hands, and like most of the time when a surgery like this is done, my surgery that I receive is mostly done on like babies, like newborn babies. Right. This guy opens up like little children who have been alive for a few weeks only. Yeah. Who like like that shit is scary, and the success rate of the surgery is astronomical. Like most people obviously survive, even though there is a very small chance that it might go wrong, and they make you sign some paperwork that says that you acknowledge that this is a fact. Right. Which was kind of scary in and of itself, just signing this paper that say, oh, you might die, but you probably won't. And but I didn't really have much of a choice. Like at that point, I was going to die if I didn't get the surgery. So so it happened. They did my thing. It's kind of cool. Like after the fact, learning what they did, they like disconnected my arteries from my heart and hooked me up to a heart-lung machine that does the work of my heart and my lungs for me. So that my heart will stop beating and my lungs shrivel up to like the smallest size they can be, so they have more space to do the surgery. So I was basically like clinically dead for like I don't know, I don't know how long the
Oh
surgery
my
was, a few hours.
Oh my god.
And my heart wasn't beating. Technically, I had blood flowing through my veins because of this machine, but my heart was completely stopped. And
Whoa.
they did their thing. They put this funny little patch on it. I asked the surgeon before the surgery if he could take pictures of my open chest, and he did.
Wow.
He I have a picture of like my heart with a white patch on it where the hole they went in through used to be. I can send you the picture so you can take a look. But
Damn.
the worst part of it all was recovery. Recovering from a surgery like that is pain because my heart and my lungs had been stopped. My lungs had shrunk to like the size of fists, and they were all shriveled up. And trying to stretch them back up by breathing takes time. So when I woke up, not only was I like hooked up to a bunch of like IVs and like all these things in my body, I had a catheter in my urethra that went up into my bladder.
Whoa.
And so because I couldn't get up to pee.
Oh shoot.
And when I woke up, the first thing I noticed was that it was really hard to breathe because my lungs were so small. And they gave me this little breathing exercises toy where you blow into a hose and there's a ball in like this cylinder that you have to race to the top of the cylinder by blowing into the hose.
Oh.
And it was really hard for me to do it at first because my lungs were so shitty. But you have to like, I was supposed to do it for, you know, a couple hours a day, kind of stretch my lungs back up. And it took me about a week to be able to get the ball all the way to the top of the cylinder. It was actually crazy how shitty my lungs were. Like I couldn't believe it. Like my I would give it to my parents, or like the breathing exercise thing. I mean, I would give it to other people and they would be able to do it really easily with like their normal people lungs.
Right.
But my lungs were scuffed. It was so bad. And it hurt to like cough. I had a lot of phlegm in my throat because I had a tube like going down my throat to breathe.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that tube being in my throat for so long made a bunch of mucus kind of like build up in my throat. So I had to cough constantly after surgery, and coughing was a pain in the ass because my sternum, which is the piece of cartilage where your ribs meet and your chest, it was cut in half. So when I coughed, my ribs would like kind of like my chest would expand and my sternum would separate for a split second, and it was very, very painful to cough.
Oh my god. Wow.
But anyway, you know, it was a shitty experience. But having my friends come visit me and being able to get out after, you know, only a couple weeks, I actually recovered surprisingly fast, according to like all the nurses that took care of me. I got out of there relatively fast compared to other people who received my surgery.
Right.
And being able to see like my friends be concerned about what had happened to me and like worried that something might have gone wrong and like happy to see me was very, very encouraging, and it was helpful in the process of getting better. And I had people that I didn't even expect to come visit me in the hospital came. I remember a friend, Hanan, who is not necessarily a part of the friend group, but we all know from before. He came to visit me in the hospital, and I wasn't expecting it at all. And he gave me gifts and everything, and it was very sweet. I remember specifically he came when I was starting to walk again, because I was bedridden for a few days, and then this nurse came into my room, and she reached under the sheets and she pulled the catheter that was in my dick out in one go, and it was like fucking 3 feet of tube. And she just pulled that shit out in one go. It was surreal. But after that, they like allowed me to get up and go to the bathroom, and I started to walk again. But it was kind of like it took a while for me to be able to walk. I don't even know why it took so long. Like it's not like it was almost like I had forgotten how to walk, which is strange because they didn't do anything to my legs. You know what I mean? I was surprised by that. But anyway,
it was like shock. No,
I guess so. I guess that's what it was. It was just like post-op shock that
Yeah.
my body was like, I do not want to walk right now, but I had to get it walking somehow. And what I was saying is that I remember Hanan being there the day that I was kind of starting to walk, and he would hold my hand and like walk with me through the hospital hallways,
Uh-huh.
very patiently, like
Uh,
holding me as I was learning to walk, and it was very sweet. And
damn.
that's a very sweet memory I have. And
Very.
also people coming and then getting out of the hospital and everybody coming to my house was also very
Fuck.
sweet.
Yeah. I it's I want to ask you like what do you what
I
do you
realized I didn't answer your question about how my outlook on life has changed.
Yeah, that's I'm like damn. So you gotta have changed after
Yeah,
that, right?
it was it definitely was an experience. It I feel like it's kind of a cliche answer, I guess, but it made me um appreciate everything and everybody around me a lot more than I feel like I did before surgery, because it it it's just like it was like, even though I necessarily wasn't um you know, it's not like I had some sort of like terminal disease or whatever. Like, my chances of passing away weren't high at all. It was
Right.
actually ridiculously low of anything bad happening to me. But I felt very nervous before surgery because I had never, nothing like that had ever happened to me.
Mm.
Um, and the thought of, as a 15-year-old, the thought of getting open heart surgery was very intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
So um, I was definitely scared of uh, my family, waking up the next day without me, or
Whoa.
my friends not being able to see me, and then waking up and realizing that that was not the fact at all, um, was, I feel like, very eye opening, and it made me feel fortunate to um, be alive. You know what I mean? Very
I
cliche, but it's the truth.
no, I it's it's interesting you worded it that way. You were not scared of death almost. You were worried for others if you would die.
Yes, 100%. I don't feel like I've ever been scared of death. Like, thought of death more than scare me is actually kind of interesting. I feel like, just because it's so like mysterious or whatever. But definitely, um, what made me the most anxious was uh, what would happen to other people if I was no longer there. My mom, especially, was very, very, very nervous about me getting the surgery, as you
Sure.
can imagine,
Yeah.
and she cried a lot, and she like would come into my room multiple times
Oh,
the week before surgery, just to like talk to me, and that was it made me realize how, I putting myself in her shoes made me feel like, oh
oof.
shit, like I better not die, you know what I mean?
No, yeah. Um, that's as a kid, that was something I thought a lot about. Like I don't know, for some reason, very early, I think it's just from like playing soldiers. When I was like what, like 10. Because that's when I like experienced, like having a BB gun and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like like it was cool. But also like 10 years old and you play Call of Duty, and then you play like the campaign, and you look at death, and you look at like like the story makes you love the characters, and then the story kills one of your guys,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh man, like that a heroic death, like that's something as a kid to you all of a sudden seems like a cool concept,
Yeah.
and you kind of think like the way I want to go is like I want to make sure that everybody else will be fine, and like you said, you were not scared of death, and yeah, like I haven't experienced anything as close to that, but I know like I'm ready. I'm ready for it. Weirdly enough. Maybe it's maybe it's just the youth, like just being 20 years old, and who gives a fuck. But yeah, interesting. You were not scared of death.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Jimmy. What do you think happens when you die?
Whew. Life's greatest mysteries, friend. My dad told me very early on that it's just nothingness.
Mm-hmm.
It's like closing your eyes and sleeping forever. And I actually watched Blade Runner, like the old one.
Uh-huh.
And like there's that scene in the rain where like the robot saves the guy. I'm spoiling it, but
I've watched
it. But yeah, like it there's this pivotal moment where like the guy just dies and that's it, like with open eyes, just nothing, like the
light goes out.
And I, oddly enough, really early, when I was like I'd say like 7, I realized I was gonna die. And I cried and I was like, oh man, like I'm gonna die. And then I got really into religion. Like I wanted something to protect me when I die. And I'm 7 years old and I'm like telling my parents, who are like totally not religious at all, like, oh, I want to go to church. I want to experience like some spiritualness, some protection, some faith. Yeah. And of course, like I think I watched like an old 1990s film on Jesus, and I was like, wow, like what a dude. He went through a lot. And but it's again like that, I saw that like heroic death, like this guy who was shitted on for something he believed in, and he took it like a man. And it was like, I really thought about that. But like I mentioned this with John, having taken a philosophy class has opened my eyes on that question. Because there's this whole debate of if God exists and stuff, which kind of connects with death. And like, having not seen a valid thing on God makes me believe, like, okay, if there's no like this faith is just a nice thought, then I should treat death as a nice thought. Like, okay, lights go out, I just won't know. Like it's over. Yeah.
I feel like I've had even though I'm not religious, and I never really have been, I did, when I was 10 years old, have my first communion, and I went to Bible study for about a year. And I was introduced to Christianity that way. And even though I never really I never really believed in it per se, or felt kind of represented by it. I feel like I respect religion a lot in the way that it gives people a hope, a sense of hope to continue living, which I think a lot of people lack. And it's extremely sad when you lack a sense of hope to live for something, because then what are you living for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never felt like I needed that, but I know a lot of people do. So I think religion, even though I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of religion, I think it is successful at that, and I respect that aspect of religion. But in my opinion, I feel like, even though I obviously can't give you an answer of what happens after death because nobody knows, and the only way to find out is to die. I feel like it's interesting. I remember watching I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson, another smart dude, talking about
smart guy,
talking about death, and he was asked the question of if he was afraid of death, and he answered saying that why would he be afraid of death if he wasn't afraid of the time before he was born? That's the only thing he compared to.
Whoa.
That death could just be like the time before you were born, and you know, I guess we've already been through that, even though it doesn't really feel like it.
Right. Yeah, you just won't know.
I have nothing to fear about death if it's just like that.
That's food for thought, eh? I like that.
Yeah.
I also, going back to the sense of hope. I've had experiences. I think I mentioned this. I've never mentioned this in the podcast. It's I've had short experiences where people thought of taking their lives.
Like people close to you?
Yeah, well, not necessarily. It's just like some person at some time just called me and said like, hey, I'm about to go kick the bucket. Can you hang out with me? And whatever. I don't know. Like he needed something he needed some reason to live, and so he, for whatever reason, looked to me.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, it was this person. I wasn't necessarily close to them. I was like okay friends with them, and then whatever, we didn't connect, and he hung out with some weird people.
Whoa, I thought you were gonna say something.
Yeah. No. He just he was just around assholes basically, and it destroyed him, clearly, and this has been but this has a good ending though. So
okay,
I go to this park, and I see him, and he's looking down, and he has sleeves, and it's hot out, so I'm like, that's weird, and I was like, hey man, what's up? And we're at a basketball court, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? What happened? And he tells me, oh, like pretty much like I got nothing left. It's like no friends. My girlfriend doesn't like me. My girlfriend put a restraining order on me. And I was like, holy shit. Like things, and this is like a 16-year-old kid, right? Like 17.
Okay.
Like he just got himself into a lot of trouble. So I was like, so he asked me like, what else do I got? And I was like, okay. To be really honest, like I don't know how I would be any help. And I have this like kind of thinking where like at that time I was like, I don't know. I can't convince you of something worth living. That's up to you. Like I'm just, I don't know. I'm like right now I'm like an echo. Like whatever you say, you might have passion for. Like I'll say, okay, go for that. But if you tell me you got nothing, then all I can tell you is I got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But I said you got family, and he had like a sister and a mother, and he had a bad relationship with his father, And so I said like, okay, you care for your sister? He's like, yeah, of course. I was like, okay, then how about try to live for that? And he thought about it, and he didn't give me an answer. But then all of a sudden, two high Jamaican guys came to our court. This was like at 10 p.m. and they were like, "Hey, bro, hey man, you want to play some basketball?" And I was like, "Oh, perfect! Like this is great." And we did like 2v2, and they were like 70s, and it was kind of like a weird,
as in like they were 70 years old,
like they were old school.
Okay.
Yeah, they looked old. They had like gray beards and shit. They had like what's it called, the Rasmufa, the hat,
where they put their dreads in,
the big beanie. Yeah, but they looked, I mean, to me, I was like, these guys look great. Like, they look so cool.
That's dope.
Yeah. And they reeked of weed. But I was laughing. I was like, this is great. And yeah, we started playing basketball, and they were just wrecking it. They were fooling around with us. They were like, fucking, and they were like 8 feet tall compared to us. We were like short as hell. And they'd like stick their long ass hand into our face and like shove us out and be laughing. And it was like, but I was really trying, and so was he, and we were like, we were fucking making jokes. So they were like, "Hey, where are you from, man? You don't seem like you play basketball." And we like started talking, and we became like friends. Like everybody there got along, and I was like, man, that was something worth living. Like
100%, dude.
like,
that's so beautiful.
That was like, and it was, and he was laughing, and I was like, dude, there's no, I don't know, I just showed that there was more than one thing to live for that day. You know, live for your family, live for fun. You know.
Yeah, it's like when you got nothing else to live for, you don't realize that you could be living for moments like that. That doesn't happen every day, and it's and life can have a lot of those moments.
True.
And it's worth living it, even just for those moments.
Yeah, as cheesy as that sounds, but I don't know. Sometimes you gotta really hear that cheesy shit. Like I think that's why like I've been listening to Jordan Peterson, and he says like a lot of the things that just sound like common sense. Like, hey, you should give yourself some shit to do, put some like responsibility, so that, you know, like you got something to do. Yeah, and
it sounds silly, but it's true.
It is. I don't know. You mentioned the story, where like it was this time where like a girl was crying and she put her head on your shoulder, and you were like, yeah, I don't think you were like really close friends, but like, you know, you were there for her, and a teacher walked by, and he was like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was more like it was. This girl was, she had just broken up with her boyfriend of a long time, and she had called me out of my classroom. I was in like a music classroom or something, and she had come all the way to my classroom from wherever she was
to get you
to get me to talk to me in the hallway because she wanted to vent. And this girl, I couldn't really tell you why she came to me, but I think it was because the only reason I knew her was because I sat next to her in my art class, and we would just talk pretty much the entire art class about just shit, just anything, right? And she she was very introverted, I feel like, and like didn't talk to necessarily a lot of people, and she had a lot of problems, um just mental. She had a lot of like, I don't want to say
Demons.
mental health issues, but she was very problematic and didn't really have a lot of people to vent or to rant about these
Right.
problems to. And in our class, with me sitting next to her and like just talking the entire class, she took that opportunity to sometimes rant to me, and I was glad to like listen to her and like hear her out because I think it was helpful, and I think I was vindicated when she came to get me to rant about her boyfriend breaking up with her. And of course I walked out of the hallway like to hear her out, and she was devastated. She was like, she started crying in the hallway, and like
Oh
she couldn't
man.
even talk to me because she was hyperventilating because they'd been dating for a very long time.
Right.
And I remember her, she put her head on my shoulder and she was just like crying onto my shoulder, and it wasn't even a teacher, it was the superintendent of the school was walking by, and
Oh
he saw us in the
shit.
hallway, and he was like, "Get back to class." And I was, I didn't know what to say, so I just had her on my shoulder, and I didn't say anything. I just pointed at her and like shrugged at him, like I don't know. There's not much I can
Let
do
me
here.
solve
She's like
this, right?
crying,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like I remember his eyebrows went up, and he just like he kind of signaled sorry with his hands, and he turned around and left us in the hallway because he also didn't know what to do about that. Um, but yeah,
Interesting, huh?
that was that. But in that case, that situation didn't necessarily happen for her. It was just funny on my end. Um, but I like to think that the moment where she vented to me in the hallway helped her get over whatever stupid boyfriend had done to her. Whatever.
Um, I that's a good topic, venting.
Mm.
Um, I am not a venter, and nor do I see um like a reason to like I just don't get it, venting, like, and this
Right.
need to grab someone and put your demons on them.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, and I don't know, to me it sounds like kind of insult it's like kind of insulting in a way that you're just burdening this other person.
I see what you mean.
um but that said, uh I am very like, I'm willing to be that shoulder cry on. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
it's
It's a
very like, to me,
little
I
too
cannot
moronic.
vent to you, right? Like, that seems insulting to put you in a bad state of mind.
But if I came to you for help, you would be there.
Right.
I kind of feel the same way. I feel like I don't necessarily feel like it would be insulting for me to come to someone to vent, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't do it often, if ever, just because I don't think it necessarily helps. Like most of the time when I am dealing with something that bothers me, I just think about it enough until I find like, some sort of
Acceptance.
so I can make sense of it, or maybe like get over it kind of on my own, which isn't really always easy. But
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather deal with it myself than to go to someone who I know probably won't be very helpful. Um, I feel like is usually the case when I go to people. Maybe I'm going to the wrong people, but I feel like in the past when I've gone to people for help, they haven't necessarily been of a lot of help. But
Mm.
when I've had people come to me for help to vent at me, I kind of get a sense of satisfaction of like being able to help this person, because a lot of the time whatever is bothering them kind of clouds their mind and they're not able to think about it rationally. And then me hearing the story from their point of view and not being kind of clouded by it, I can give them my opinion on the subject and kind of help them reach that uh, you know
Yeah.
solution, or that moment where they kind of like can understand it better and not be so upset about it. And that is a very satisfying feeling, I think, helping. But it's a little silly that I think that I'm good at helping people who come to me, but the people that I go to aren't helpful at all. Maybe it's a little
I
mean.
well, I think Yeah, it's kind of I have that opinion too. I think a lot of people have that opinion. I believe like a lot of people like to stick to their guns. Um, but
Little lone wolves out here.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's weird. I guess it's just because you at some point just want to not hear somebody like anymore. You just kind of want to hear your own voice.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's. I mean, I'm very open to hearing like life advice, but like something in me tells me like giving life advice is the most dangerous thing you can do. Like because I want you to I want you to figure I want you to figure out the complex stuff, but I can give you the basics, or at least like yeah. I'll give an example. Like my dad just taught me basic respect, basic things you should do when you're talking to someone, like big things like looking into their eyes, being silent, not speaking over them. I mean, really listening and being able to make a dialogue. There's been tons of moments where like I'm talking to someone, and then like they will say, they will like ask something that I've been saying repeatedly or a lot, and like, oh, you're just not tuning into me, like like you're faking this attention.
I feel that. Yeah, you're just talking to me to talk. You're not listening to me.
Yeah. I guess that's why like I'm very reserved. Like I don't express myself so much to people unless they ask for it directly. And
interesting that you have a podcast.
Yeah, I mean the podcast. Well, the thing is, so far I've man, like everybody is very different. And maybe we could get into it. And I'm not I'm not saying anybody is bad. There's I don't know. I can't like we say put yourself in their shoes. But like that's really hard. Like it's yeah, like there's just sometimes where like you cannot understand someone, and
or you may think you do, but you don't really.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'll say this for the 100th billionth time. Like I don't understand how I got mad at Quinn for something I did in Minecraft. Right? Like I can't get into that mind of a little obnoxious kid, right?
Right.
Yeah, and so it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, that's really eating at you, Jimmy.
Dude, like I asked. This is interesting. I'll bring back episode 6 with Luke, because man, Luke is such an interesting character.
For sure.
He when I asked him, do you ever think about what you've done to someone? Like, have you ever, I don't know, questioned what you've said, really thought about a particular day? And he's like, nope. And I was like, I was just completely blown. I mean, you could tell. I was like, there was that awkward silence, but I was like, this was something, I don't know. To me, it's like a blessing. To him, like I feel like that's like a gift. Like, oh my god,
it's like, you're right. You kind of feel envious that you wish you felt that way.
Like I wish I was like just this bad motherfucker. Yeah,
Luke is a very no bullshit kind of guy.
Yeah, but but I also, I don't know. There's something that I like. I'm sorry for him. That, like, there's, I don't know. I'm very into like appreciating things
Mhm.
constantly. Like, I like bringing up my burdens a lot, so I keep myself in check all the time and making sure like I'm good. Of
Mhm.
course, not like an annoying amount, but
I know what you mean.
yeah. But to not ever check yourself is whoa.
Ballsy.
I don't know, right? Like, what do you
Yeah.
think?
It sounds scary. I feel like I couldn't. I mean, it's dumb because me and Luke are obviously not the same person, but just like I couldn't live that way.
Yeah,
Just the way I am doesn't match. But Luke, it seems to work out for Luke.
it's
Good stuff.
very
But like, you can't help but think when he says something like, "No, I've never had a time in my life where I've kind of thought twice about something I've said to somebody else."
uh
I can't help but think that maybe he has said something that he should have thought twice about, but just didn't.
right.
And like, we don't know, or maybe he simply hasn't said it. He just speaks his mind, and that's it. But I know in my case, like sometimes I say shit that I realize after I say it, I definitely don't mean it,
Right.
and that just I feel like happens to everybody, but maybe it doesn't happen to Luke either.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Uh, this is a good segue into trolling. I kind of want to tackle this a lot with everybody
Okay.
and kind of like understand people's opinions of it. Um, cause like I've said, I think our friend group is like challenger level trolling, like really just we could wreck house, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's
There's a
pretty.
lot of trolling going on in the family, but it's like
It's
it's
all
mostly harmless, if not
right,
all
right,
harmless.
right. But uh, there, I just feel like there might be like moments where it just doesn't work. Um, like well, it's very rare, but I yeah, I
There definitely are moments when it doesn't work. I can tell you a couple of times where it's backfired um, intensely. I
oh
remember not that long ago. This
uh
is it's funny that I think I'm talking about this. But anyway, not that long ago when we were playing the last Minecraft season where the whole friend
oh
group
oh yes,
um,
I
where the
love this.
whole friend group joins this Minecraft server and we build a world or whatever.
Yeah.
We were a good, we had put a good amount of hours into this world. Right?
I just know it's gonna happen. Yep.
and we all had built like our little houses and businesses in this world, and had
Yeah.
like big plans for the future.
Yep.
And I happened to troll Quinn, um, and I maybe pressed his buttons a little too hard,
Right.
and he decided to go on the server and blow my shit up, all of it.
Not just your shit, though.
Not just my
Everything.
shit, it ended up being the whole fucking thing. He just
Yeah.
grabbed the hundreds of hours of Minecraft we had played and just threw them in the trash. And that
Right.
was it for the Minecraft season.
But
And
like,
that made me very upset. And obviously, hindsight, like, it was dumb of me to get as upset as I was, but I was very, very mad at Quinn because
right. You put some love into this world.
yeah, but more than that, it was like he was even though I had just trolled him a little bit, which is not like it's not like it's not very rare in the friend group. Quinn was upset. Like Quinn didn't like it that I trolled him, so he was like being an asshole to me, and that's what made me upset. It was like he had just gotten this attitude, and he
Right.
adopted the attitude and like stuck with it through and through, and that drove me crazy. And I guess that was him trolling me back.
In a
And
way.
that's what made me the most upset. But it's silly to think that I got incredibly mad at Quinn because he blew up my Minecraft. stupid as fuck. But
Right.
um, that was one of the times where I wished I hadn't been such a troll.
Yeah, it's weird how trolling keeps our friendships intact, like in check as well, but also, um,
It
like,
drives.
yeah, like there's something that, like, it brings a question, really, to friends. I'm not saying, okay, like, this band, this French, this group of friends is not a good group of friends. Like, we're not workable. Like, I believe you guys are very, whatever happens, there'll be love in the end. Um, but it's interesting how we've gotten to that level where, like, we really test our friendships, I think, through this, like, intense word plays and fooling around.
Yeah,
I have to say, I'm, like, over exaggerating. We're pretty chill.
we are
Um,
too. But like
considering.
it is the case that some people in the friend group have it worse than others. I think because maybe they're a little bit of an easier target for
Right.
trolls, and I feel like I'm not one of those people. Like I feel like people,
No.
obviously I get trolled, but I don't think I get trolled as often as maybe other people in the friend group do, or
Yeah.
maybe I don't have to deal with as much trolling as some other people do,
Right.
and so uh, a part of me feels sorry for that, but it's like become like it's just become the dynamic. That's just how it is, and it's
Right.
like funny, and like everybody accepts that it's funny, and even the people who are being trolled accepts that that's just how it is. And
Right.
like,
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel bad speaking for them, but but I think it worked, and it's been working for so long, and like
Yeah.
everybody, we have a very very deep bond. I feel like.
True. No, of course. That I see.
And it's accentuated by the fact that we talk to each other almost every single day of our
Right.
lives, which I think we are very fortunate to be able to do, because that wouldn't have been possible, fucking 20 years ago,
Yeah.
or even less than that. We talk to each other literally like every day,
Every
basically, and like we
day.
play video games with each other, and like it's like we're siblings living in the same house almost.
Yeah. So I guess it is expected. Trolling.
Yeah,
Um,
like siblings would troll each other.
yeah. And we are at that level of, like, the trolls are just getting better and better and better.
Oh, we're only going
It's
up from
only
here.
uphill. Yeah. It's and I the thing is um I don't know, like, this is so unique to us, to me, like, this is something I don't see in any other group of friends that I have. Like, it's up to a point. I don't know, like, if someone new came by, they would just be mentally, like, dealing, like, questioning
Yeah, yeah,
the friends.
yeah. No, it happens a lot too.
Yeah.
Like we've had a lot of people join the
And
Discord
that's
for.
why I question Luke, and God bless him,
Yeah, but
having
Luke is
this.
the different thing. Duke is a different animal. Luke has been adopted into the Brotherhood, and now he is
Yeah.
100% a part of it. This and like he's been. I don't know how Luke has been so consistent in like being a part of the Discord and the friend group for literally like fucking 3-4 years straight. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like Luke, I feel like, is as much a friend of mine as almost any other person in the friend group,
Right.
and that blows my mind. Wait 1 second. Back. Sorry about that.
Boop, we're back.
We're back. I was saying Luke
Mhm.
is almost as good of a friend to me as anybody else in the friend group, and that blows my mind.
Yeah, an outsider. being a good
but
friend.
but it happens. It just came back to me. So it happens that a lot of people come into the Discord who are not necessarily friends or close friends to us,
Right.
and I feel like they're just sitting there listening to us talk to each other, and it's like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? They don't
Yeah.
understand anything we're saying. Most of what we say to each other is like inside jokes.
Oh my god, extremely.
And it must be very strange. For example, for my roommate in college, Axel, who comes in Discord sometimes, he sits there. You know, the only thing he has in common maybe with the rest of the friend group is like his passion for the Chris Chan documentary. So whenever that comes around, Axel's all about like talking to everybody about the Chris Chan documentary. But when he's just sitting in the Discord and everybody else is talking to each other, I can tell that he's just sitting there listening to me like, I don't understand anything. He's gonna leave, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Like we have a weird, like, the way we talk is just not of this normal world. Like we say pog a lot.
Yeah, but that's kind of like mainstream now. I feel like
I think so.
Is getting kind of normie.
Yeah, everybody watching.
Pog is just like part of Gen Z vernacular at this point. It's all over the place.
Yeah, I guess there's just some things that we say that just I'm like, I'll just say it without thinking, and people, my friends look at me like, "What the fuck are you saying?"
Yeah. Like Bhagwan Singh or like something like that.
Oh man, can't wait to get Israel on.
That would be it's so much killer podcast.
Yeah, man, holy shit. All right, let's get down to our last little bit of things I want to talk about.
All right.
Yeah. So I didn't really. Well, I did mention it. That you're from Venezuela, and I'm from Brazil, so we're like, we're like cousins.
We're neighbors.
Neighbors, right? And so, yeah. Like, do you, like, how do you feel? Like do you still feel like you have this Venezuelan part in you? And I'm not just saying like I mean like the behaviors and the traditions. Like in Brazil, like everybody's like extremely and overtly loving. Like the way we say hello is you give 2 kisses in the cheek.
Yeah.
And a hug, like so.
I can tell you that I definitely do feel very Venezuelan in my core, and like that's gonna be with me for the rest of my life. I guarantee it. Because just like my day-to-day life in my home is very Venezuelan. My parents are both Venezuelan and born and raised and like as Venezuelan as it gets. And I speak Spanish in my home, and like all my family friends are Venezuelan.
Right.
And I speak Spanish to them.
We speak Spanish too.
I speak Spanish, yeah.
I'm saying the friend group.
The family friends, yeah.
Oh, okay. Our friend group does not speak Spanish.
Our friend group does not speak Spanish. Our friend group definitely doesn't speak Spanish.
John, maybe a little.
Maybe a little. Israel, maybe a little bit more than John.
Yeah,
but he's getting there. It's just working on it. But yes, I feel like a lot of Venezuelan culture. I have a lot of Venezuelan culture within me or with me, and that comes in like music. I listen to a lot
you're
of
a fucking
music.
musician. Holy shit.
Well, yeah, I would.
I mean, to brag, but
I don't know if I'll say I'm a musician, but I do like music quite a lot. And a good amount of my music library or repertoire that I listen to is music in Spanish. And a good chunk of that is Venezuelan music that I enjoy a lot. And I appreciate and I love Venezuelan culture a lot because it's just fucking hilarious, dude. People, they just talk so funny. They're very vulgar and speak very fast. And I think just conversation between 2 Venezuelan people is always hilarious every time. And I love that.
Yeah, the vulgarity. That's something shared. I don't know. Like, saying dirty sexual jokes and
Mm-hmm.
saying like cursing a lot. Like I
Right.
curse a lot. I don't know why, but I think it's like it's just that like
It's just how it is.
something saying about puto and fuck and like it's
Yeah.
just funny to say.
It spices up conversation
Yeah. I
and
mean,
work.
uh, I mean, being in Miami, like we fucking know, um, what it's like. Like basically, you're like a quarter Cuban if you live here.
Right.
So like you have that. Um, but yeah, it's interesting that the I don't know. I also experienced like I have I have my mom's side, which is like the Brazilian side. So like over there, it's just like fucking and vulgar shit just going on. Like it's nuts. Like all the jokes that we make there is just not appropriate. And then my dad's side, which is like Chicago upper class, like I don't know. I feel like oh my god, I can't say anything. Like like their jokes are like about the Bible, and it's
Fuck
just
that.
like I'm like, oh god, and yeah, and but I'm glad that my dad just does not care and will say fuck around my grandparents.
Yeah.
That happens, but I feel like I also have that. I don't know. I have that mix of like I have this properness, this like American like ooh like he said fuck, but also I
Mhm.
have this like I don't give a fuck like just say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Um, and I was gonna ask, has that like in what way has that benefited you? Um, like
What
having
do you mean,
this
like having my
Venezuelan good
culture?
goodness culture, yeah.
Um, in a few ways, it not only makes me feel kind of more I don't know how to say it. It makes me feel fortunate that I have kind of I can or I feel like I am part of these two very contrasting cultures and I can, enjoy them both and feel like I am a part of both, meaning like Venezuelan culture as a whole and then like American um culture as well.
Uh
And just
huh.
Miami culture. Miami almost has like its own culture.
Yeah.
So, um but I feel very fortunate to be able to, understand and appreciate music in both Spanish and English, or jokes in both Spanish and English, TV shows and movies in both Spanish and English. I feel like my my access to like uh, content and just like uh, popular culture is like doubled because I can watch it or listen to it or read it or whatever in both Spanish and English. I think that's very cool because I found some of my favorite songs and movies and books are in English and some of them are in Spanish. And if I only spoke one of those languages, I wouldn't have found the other. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I feel very lucky that that's the case. And also, it's just fun, dude. Venezuelan culture is, I feel like, a lot more fun than American culture. And since I was born there, I feel maybe a little bit more, you know, represented by it. It's just
Right.
like very rich in like just loving people and like having fun. Like music is like such a big part of it, and the
Mm-hmm.
food is amazing. The food is a
Hey.
large part of it as well. I eat in my house. I eat fucking arepas and like all
Hey.
these amazing Venezuelan food that my parents can make for me every day that I couldn't do it by myself.
For real.
Love that my parents are there to do it for me. But I am. It makes me feel sad for somebody born in fucking butt fuck Missouri that has
Kentucky.
never
Am
tasted
I
a
right? No.
right Kentucky has never tasted an arepa in their life.
Yeah, true.
That is depressing, dude. Some of my favorite candy is Venezuela. You know,
Hey. Also,
it's
like, just all along that, like, fucking Mexican candy, and then, like,
Mexican candy is a different beast, dude.
yeah.
Mexicans are crazy about their candy. They make it spicy. Everything has to be spicy.
True.
I don't know, or either spicy or tamarind flavor.
And then like being Brazil, like steaks and rice, beans, chicken.
Oh yeah, Brazilian. Oh, Brazilian kitchen is also.
Let's go. But yeah, and I was, but I want to end on this. I feel like, without, like my Brazilianness, I wouldn't have been as friendly. Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. Like, I agree with that. I don't think I would be the way I am today, but it's tough to say what I would be like if I wasn't Venezuelan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like it's helped me a lot in my interactions with other people, and like just like being able to figure out who I am.
Yeah. Fucking amen. Let's end on that note.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right.
Let's see you on a Fire Podcast.